Remember, the mics are live when the counter's up, and then I will hit the music here. Yeah, when we get to about 30 seconds, and then we'll just fade that in, and then make sure we have that to show.
There you go.
And where is it?
The reggae intro. I called it anyway. It's like a mix. I even had like a.
That's super cool that you make that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was just fun. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's how I did iMovie. You know, just I got a Mac again. I was like, everything comes with the name that I need to create. Yeah, with my phone, my iPad. What's up, everybody? It's Chat from hashtag Grassy Logic. I'm here today with Bird. Hard time typing that today. I appreciate you guys showing up with me today. We got a few topics to talk about, but I really wanted to touch base on who they are. But I'm not going to do it for them. I'll let you guys go ahead and introduce yourself. Starting with Lily.
So we're an integrated micro business. We specialize in body products, but we also are producers and manufacturers of other sorts. We are in a few dispensaries across from Sunland Park to Las Cruces. And he is our head grower. He's the one that, helps things, move along at the farm. I mainly handle manufacturing and the body products. That's my specialty.
Nice. And, how's the growing going and everything?
The grow's going good. We try to get an early start on the season this year. So we're on a photo hunt, we're on a pheno hunt. I apologize about that. But we're rocking photos predominantly, and we're doing a few different varieties. We're trying to bring back some of the, I know everybody's strung out on all the new things coming out, but I feel like there was so many flavors from the early 2000s that were lost in the breeding of the big bud and all these hybrids. So we're trying to just bring some new flavors in and,
nice.
Find some stuff that people like.
Yeah, definitely. Have a little bit of the old school crowd. Are you guys going to try to go maybe the Bubba Kush kind of line, or maybe the Pre-98, or what are you guys kind of really looking to do?
We're working on a lot of the top dogs, man. So a lot of the cams, the Cam
Cam
Sisters, the Sour Diesels. Nice. We're on that ever long hunt for the old school Sour Diesel.
Yeah. Everybody is.
Yeah.
Rodell and Arado on that one.
Yeah. So that's the goal, man. Maybe one day,
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys, showing coming up to the show with me, and showing up today, and coming to have this cool conversation. It's really great to have you guys at this capacity and everything. So, without further ado, let's get the show started, and we're going to actually talk about them. So, where are you guys actually located?
We're located in Anthony, New Mexico.
Okay. Just down the road.
Yeah,
just down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're in the area. If you guys don't know, Las Cruces, El Paso, and the areas in between all kind of just mesh into one. And, Anthony is one of those communities. It's probably about 20 minutes away, you guys think?
Yeah.
About 20 minutes
30,
away?
Yeah.
About 20, 30 minutes south of here. So there's a lot of producers out there. There's actually a lot of, retail spaces too. Do you guys happen to be at any down there in Anthony?
Not at the moment. No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Which ones in Cruces are you in?
So we're at Moss Buds and Reverie Cannabis.
Reverie, okay. I haven't even heard of that yet.
We are also at the Tropical in El Mesilla.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm a good friend over there. I go and visit them, regularly. Good guy.
Yeah.
So they're cool, dude. Cool. Yeah. So what products do you guys really specialize on? I know you brought some here today to show everybody, and we can kind of get it closer up and put it to the camera. But what did you bring to show us?
So I brought our Magna Cana magnesium body butter.
Mm-hmm.
It is all natural, whole plant infused shea, coconut oil, whipped body butter.
Okay.
And so it's good for things like, can't say officially, but it's good for things like arthritis, eczema, other pains that you may have. And its special ingredient is magnesium.
Okay.
Many people are deficient in magnesium, and so it's the first mineral depleted when we're under stress. And so many of us are under stress, just the daily life. So we put that in there to help, with stress relief and relaxation, along with its other properties.
Nice. And, is there any way we can get the little close up to the camera right here? If you want, I can put my long arm up there.
Sure.
So this is what it looks like. It smells amazing, by the way. And here it is. She said it's whipped and everything. It looks great. Let me see if we can get there we go, a lot better view of the camera. There we go. We'll get the producer to show it up. There we go. There you go. We'll have Gino do some work there. So that's what the product looks like if you guys are looking for it here in town. As she stated, some of the places. What was the second place? I've never heard of them before.
Reverie.
Cannabis.
Okay. They just, I believe they're opening on the 20th.
Okay, cool.
I believe, yeah.
There's so many new places. It's only, 988
Isn't that crazy?
plus.
About 1,000 dispensaries.
Yeah,
That we
I
got
think
right
next
now.
month we'll probably hit 1,000, and then we'll see what the bubble does, from there. But yeah, and we also have another product here. This is called Cannabis.
Yeah, so it's our infused lip balm.
That's cool.
Yeah, again, infused. We try to go full spectrum. We try to use the full plant material to infuse our body products with. This one is with distillate, so it's not a full plant infused. But for the majority of our body products, we definitely try to use that full spectrum, so we can grab all the properties from the plant and to infuse all of that into our body products.
Nice. Yeah, that's great to hear and see. And a lot of people don't really think about rubs and balms and even lip balm when it comes to cannabis products because it's so overlooked. But that's great that you guys are kind of filling that gap in the industry from that area. And I know you guys have actually won awards in the past. So can you guys maybe talk about that? Shameful plug, not unshameful plug.
So, we've entered into, I believe it was 3 of the New Mexico Growers Cups. The Magna Canna has won 3 times. So it's a 3-time award winning. Yeah. Okay. And then our Vapor Rub also placed. I didn't bring any with me. So the Vapor Rub also placed, as well as our massage candle. So each of those main products has received an award. Just fun little thing to have, but we definitely, it's fun to enter into the competitions and just enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've been to some of the competitions where you guys won, and I don't know if you guys remember or not, but yeah, I've seen the awards you guys got, and that's great. What are some other products you guys have? Is it just mostly like this, or do you guys have flowers too? Or
right now, it's the topicals, but we do have flower within season. And when we do light dep and things like that. So whenever we have the product available, we'll have flower. We'll also have edibles coming out soon. We do hard candy, and maybe some extracts coming out. We'll see.
Nice. Yeah, cool. And what do you have coming up from that? Do you think probably the end of the year? You thinking, or
We're hoping sooner than that. We're hoping to get a couple of harvests before full season. Okay. And so we're working on some things right now. Our light dip just started, and if everything goes as planned, the industry has different curveballs it throws at you. But if everything works out, we should have something mid-July, and it'll be basically our launch where we start finding what we're going to keep and what we're going to put on the shelves and things. And what I mean by keep is what kind of phenols are we preserving as mothers and things of that nature. I wanted to add something on the body products that's very important. Most people, when they go to buy a body product, well, all of us, we're all very uneducated. There's not enough science behind them. So we're learning as we go. And then there's data being built, with blind clinical studies and things of that nature. But whether you purchase our products or anybody's products, one thing that I would recommend is to make sure that product contains THCA. So whenever you get a reading, you always just get a THC reading. And most of the time is because it's from distillate, which means it's no longer in its raw form. It's basically decarboxylated or activated, as they call it. And so even though that's great to catch a buzz or for whatever we use THC for, THCA is actually very responsible for the sensory or how we feel the product working at our skin. That's what binds to our CB2 receptors. So I think that's very important that people are aware that all our products that are going to go in your body will contain both THC and THCA.
Oh, cool. That is good to hear. A lot of times, some people have that misconception of just straight THC. And I'm a big, proponent of, not just straight THC. There's more in the plant than just THC.
Exactly. Right. And that's why we try to focus on our full spectrum. It's like any vitamin. When you get source vitamin A or C from cherries, it's not the same as the vitamin that you take from a supplement that's isolated as a vitamin A or vitamin C. You get the full benefits of everything that's supposed to be with that vitamin. And so that's why we do try to source for the full spectrum.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great to hear. Well, what kind of licensing do you guys have? Are you fully integrated? Or are you just, manufacturing and with the producer, what kind of license?
We are micro integrated.
Okay.
So we have a micro production, and then we have a class 3 manufacturing.
Oh, nice. So you guys, a little bit of both worlds. And, it's great that the, state did that, so you can kind of piece it together like a Lego piece.
Yeah. That was great, especially for us small businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you step by step, like, okay, we have this piece. Now let's go and get this piece to just snap on there, and we're good to go. And I kind of feel that's a great way to do it instead of just forcing everybody. You have to do it all at once.
Yeah. And like we also do have a retail license. We own a retail license, but we just haven't been able to align that yet within our business.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys do here soon. Maybe we'll see the BirdPham Farm retail establishment.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, right. So, speaking of that, what are your plans, for expansion and everything? Is it just the retail, or is it hush hush secret squirrel stuff, or?
Nothing really secretive, man. I mean, this is something that we've been trying to do since we've been together over 15 years. And so the fact that the state even gave us an opportunity at growing our 200 plants and at being able to turn some of that product into manufactured goods, to us, that was really all we were ever hoping for. So when people say living the dream, we're living the dream. Sometimes it's a nightmare, and sometimes it's more work than we anticipate, but it's worth every single bit of it. So we do look forward to expanding, but not too much, only within dispensary. So we'd love to take as much shelf space as we can. So if you're a dispensary, feel free to reach out to us, and maybe we can work something else to place our products on your shelf. That'd be amazing.
Well, where can people find you guys? Social media, how they contact you.
Go ahead.
So we're on Instagram, BirdPham Farms, as well as on Facebook, BirdPham Farms LC. And you can find all of our info on those 2 websites.
Okay, cool.
And we post where what locations we're at, where you can find our products, reels, and just different things.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys, are staying up on it, and maybe we can see you guys more located more up, but not located. Find your product more at different retails here in town or around the state even. So, is there anything you guys want to add before we move on to the next set of topics?
Well, as far as our body products and what we're manufacturing and what we run, that's pretty much it. We're a small business, so we definitely are local, and we're not associated with any big companies or corporations, so it makes it a little more difficult. But we're gonna be able to go through this motion and stick around. So look out for BirdPham Farms, man.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for joining me again. And as you said, you guys know where to find them. At the end of the show, we give you guys another chance to plug yourselves, but I like to do it twice at least. So we're just going to move on to the next topic. So thank you guys again for joining me. And I'm glad you guys are sticking around, to continue the conversation, because we're actually having some really good, conversations before the show. And, I hope we can kind of remember what we said and, kind of continue it, because, there's some really good points that we brought up. But the first thing I want to bring up is, I guess there's a product that's coming out here in New Mexico, and there could be some, out in the market right now that we just don't know about. But this is what's being reported, I guess, in Albuquerque, a manufacturer called Assurance Laboratories. I guess they're now the distributor for New Mexico for Undo, like UNDOO, Undo. I think it's Undo. Anyway, they're a trio of supplements, and they're stating that the supplements that they're going to give you, I guess you can take orally or however they have it, you ingest it somehow. It contains, I guess, is it coconut oil or is it olive oil? And they're saying that the vitamin E and the olivetol, so I guess it's olive oil, are the key ingredients that kind of bind to a certain receptor. It kind of pulls back from your high, kind of like what they suspect the CBD would do.
Right.
Kind of the same thing. And so I kind of feel that they're going to have that. And they only mention one, which is the olive oil. And that kind of raises flags for me. I'm like, well, what are the other compounds?
Right.
Like, okay, I get like, the olive oil you're claiming, does that, but, is there CBD in it too? Is there anything else? Is it a cannabis product, or is it just olive oil with some
What
other
else
stuff?
is going on there?
Are we talking about snake oil here? Really, what is this? So it's interesting. I figured I'd pick it up. They did state that it's at PVP right now, and that's the only place that I could see that it is right now. I mean, what are you guys' kind of thoughts on it? I mean, being manufacturers, making stuff, similar, and that people use, what are your thoughts on it? Really, with the olive oil and just nothing else.
That's interesting. We are yet to kind of see what how other things we consume interact with cannabis and the different cannabinoids.
Yeah.
Like you said, CBD also interacts with your THC and the levels, and so it's interesting to see what other plants or things that we consume, how they will interact once we have some of that data.
Yeah. No, definitely. And only time will tell with a product like this. We can't really tell right now. They could be telling the truth. I don't know. This could be backed by a bunch of studies, and there's real science to it. And people taking olive oil, if they're too high, could be a thing. I have no clue. Or maybe this product. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would imagine if you're going to launch a product like that, you would have some kind of data behind it. Maybe I'm not sure if at the level of a lab or any kind of science behind it. But if I was to release a product like that, I would have wanted to have tried it on hundreds of volunteers before I ever released it. So I'm not exactly sure what it is that they're promoting or how they plan on it working along with the cannabinoids or the compounds. But hey, if it works, man, and it's a product that can benefit, then by all means.
Yeah, I'm the same way with you. And it's stating that it's currently being distributed throughout the state. And I think that's just through one retail place. But yeah, if it works, it works. I have never heard of olive oil or olive tall being a compound that connects to cannabinoid receptor or anything like that. So that's their claims, and this is a product. We're not in Albuquerque. I'm down south, and they're even further south than me. And so we don't hear a lot about what goes on in Albuquerque. It feels like the line of the border check is kind of like a little barrier.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's like a little barrier. It's like they don't want to come down here. We don't really go up there that much because everything that we can do and you can do in Albuquerque, I can do in El Paso. And more. If I need to go do something, I go to El Paso. Even my VA appointments are actually in El Paso and not Albuquerque. So that's like kind of how the disparity, how different it is. So that's really all I wanted to say about this product in general. It's alleviating cannabis overuse is really what they're talking about. But it's an interesting product. This is something that is new in New Mexico, and this is something that I want to cover because we're going to get newer stuff like this all the time. This isn't something, that's going to be just this one time. So this is just an example of legalization, not hindering innovation, So, that's one thing that I'm really glad we did here in New Mexico is not hindering the innovation here in the state. So moving on, I guess, we're moving on quite quickly because that was a fast one. This one actually might take a little bit because, like I said, talking before the show, I found out that, you guys had a little bit more connection with this next topic than I thought. And so the next topic is about expungement issues in the state. And so right now in the state, if you guys didn't know, when we legalized cannabis, we actually added an expungement clause. And it was kind of wonky. People were having issues. And then they kind of went back this past year and, rewrote some stuff and tried to fix it. However, people are still having issues. And I can see the reason why, because certain things that get in there, make it kind of muddy, and there's mixed stuff with it when it comes to charges. Like if it's cannabis mixed with another charge, then it becomes a little bit more different. And that makes sense. If it's just cannabis, I can see, all right, get it out of here.
Yeah.
But if it's cannabis and then you say like a gun charge, then that's a little harder to kind of, work around. And, when it comes to the law, it's very specific, and, it's a lot of bureaucracy that goes along with it. So far in the state, they've had 14,000 cases expunged this far, which is actually quite great, to be honest. Like we're not a huge state with a high population, so if it was California, you'd be like, whatever. But for New Mexico, that's actually quite good. That's quite a few people in the state who've had their lives changed, with getting these charges expunged, which were incorrect. And I'm glad that they wrote the wrongs of the past by passing such laws and allowing people to change the status of their background.
Yeah.
This is something that affects people through their whole life. So, and the thing about this one is the way that they dropped it is where it's just cannabis, only cannabis charges. I believe if you sell and you were, running drugs pretty much, I think those charges don't get dropped. I think it's just possession and paraphernalia. I think are the 2 charges. If you were selling it, then they don't drop that one. Now I don't know if they drop one and keep the other. That could be something that they're running into. So I'm not too sure. It's stating that in some instances the records are older and not in the court system or the database, and I think they went just to a new system or something like that. I think, and so that's probably making it even worse. And so that makes sense. If you got charged, say in 75, and it's now 2023, there's might be a high chance that it might not be in the system because they were still hand jamming everything back then, and typewriting, with a little machine. So yeah, I got my producer over here laughing at me because he's like, I feel attacked. So the amended law that passed this year, it initiates an automatic expungement for mixed cases. So the mixed cases are the ones that I was talking about, are the ones that, or maybe they have, a drug trafficking and a possession in one. That's a mixed. Or, maybe there was a DUI mixed with cannabis possession. Those become like mixed things. And so now it's those mixed cases, I guess, are supposed to be automatically expunged. But I guess that's not really happening because, we try to do it one way, but when it gets into practice, it kind of happens a different. And a lot of people are having issues with it. And, that could really hinder some people getting in the industry. And, you guys were telling me before that actually the law changing when we went legal actually helped you guys. Am I correct on that? Or
You're correct.
Yeah. So, can you elaborate if you don't mind?
Absolutely, man. That's like something that I always wanted to share with people. I wanted to share with the world, that we had been impacted by some petty possession charges. Basically, the state of Texas, if you get arrested in Texas, they're going to charge you with whatever is in the container along with the weight of the container. It's about 15 years ago. I had a couple of fresh buds. We had just harvested some strawberry diesel, and I can't remember what the other ones were. But I only had about a 1/4 ounce per jar, but I had them in large mason jars. That weight alone turned my misdemeanor into a felony.
Ooh.
It got lost through the court system. Some issues happened. The felony stuck. It affected me through many employment opportunities that I had when I would step up to either supervisor or something that would come up, and I lost several opportunities because of it. And so when this bill got introduced and legalization took place in New Mexico, we were looking to apply anyway because they had mentioned that as a possibility to get in. We had what the state was requiring, but along with that, we also had a little story to tell about how prohibition affected our lives. We went ahead and we wrote it down, and I'm not 100% sure that that's how we qualified, but from how I look at our application, that had to have been the reason. Plus along the help of a lot of great people along the way, man, that coached us and guided us on how to get licensed. We didn't do it all by ourselves, but I believe a lot of it was because we were affected negatively by cannabis, and the state, I don't know what their percentage was that they say they were going to help, but if it was 0.0002%, we fell under that.
Well, it's great that, they did help you guys because now you're here and you're providing great products to people. And I'm glad to see that, that we are one of the states that when we decided to go legal with cannabis, we decided a progressive route, saying, okay, this was wrong to do in the first place. Let's go back and, and just get rid of these charges. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not like, you have to pay them back. You're just getting rid of the charges so their background's clear. One thing I want to clarify is I read this wrong, actually. The state is no longer responsible to initiate the automatic expungement for mixed cases. I read it wrong. And that's how I understood it earlier. So now if you have a mixed case, that's the reason why people are having these issues and running into a pretty much bureaucratic issues, is because if they have a mixed charge, it even says right here, like a speeding traffic, like a traffic ticket along with cannabis charge, that becomes a mixed case, and then you have to initiate it and everything. But there's at least a chance that you can get it expunged. You just have to initiate it, and the state doesn't do it automatically. Unlike I had some weed on me and I got charged, and they just dropped it automatically. So that's one thing I wanted to clarify, that I read it wrong. Don't want it to put that out there and all of a sudden people are like, hey, Chad totally told us the wrong thing. I read it wrong, my bad. So anyway, getting back on track, I'm really glad that you guys, have this opportunity now. And it really shows that laws like this seem simple, or it doesn't affect you. It affects, quite a few people, and there might be more people that were in your spot or are right now than you think, and
absolutely.
Yeah. It's great that you guys are willing to speak out about it, because you guys are becoming, advocates for people that were in the same boat, because, we all make mistakes when we're younger, You know, especially if you're in Texas, you know, that becomes even worse.
It was bad.
And Texas doesn't tear the scale, so they weigh the jars including, and so.
Oh my gosh! Kind of like when they weigh the brownies and the brownies count towards the weight. Like I thought that was so ridiculous. So one thing I wanted to bring it up is we also need smart advocating, or if we have a lack of, it's the reason why we end up with laws that don't make sense or we don't agree with. So that's one thing that I always try to, kick that dead horse is advocate and smart advocating. We got to tell the lawmakers what we want. And if we don't, they're just going to come up with something. And then, it could be wrong. It could be right, and sometimes an outside source can look at it and say, oh, this doesn't look right. Like earlier, you're looking at your Facebook page, like, man, I should really change that. Like, I thought that was hilarious. So that's all I really want to talk about, the expungement thing. That's really all I had on it. And those are really the two topics that I had from that's going on. I really wanted to touch base on the bubble. And do you guys know what I mean when I talk about the bubble?
No.
So as we were talking about before the show, we have 988 retail establishments, and we only have 2.2 million people. We know about 50% of the retail sales come from Texas in the state. So there's a bubble that's going to be bursting because the price per pound has come down so much that it's now it's now becoming along the lines or cheaper than the black market. And so now the places that are depending only on the black market two things are going to happen. One, they're going to get busted. And two, they're just not going to be able to afford it because they didn't make any relationships with farmers like you guys in the first place. And now say you guys just sold out, you don't have enough cannabis, and these dudes are trying to rush once the bubble pops to get product because they can't get black market at a good price and they can only get it locally at a good price. They're going to go out of business. And so now we're reaching a point where this bubble is going to burst, not just because of that reason, but for several reasons. Bad business decisions, expanding too quickly, coming to the market, a flooded market with not a really good business plan. Yeah. There's several reasons that this bubble is going to burst, but the amount of retail establishments that we have in the state are too much for the amount that we have living here and just the amount of people that buy cannabis. So we're going to start to see a lot of people dying out. And already nationally, it's about 75 to 85% closure rate with retail establishments for cannabis anyway. So we're going to see a lot of those die here soon. And so that bubble's already kind of ruptured. And now it's getting to the point where it's just going to pop. And I'm not too sure if that pop is going to be very rapid or we're just going to see it slow through time. I gave it within a next year. This time, we're going to have a totally different market. And so what this is it's almost a stabilization period. And so right now we're going to see people close, and the people that are doing it right or have good product are going to stick around. The people that close, maybe they'll have another chance and do it right the next time, whatever. But that's capitalism, and that's the way that the game goes when you get into the cannabis industry is, there is a chance that you could fail, and there's a high chance that you can make it too, make a lot of money. But, you have to come in with the right game plan, and you have to do it right. And so people that didn't, we're going to start seeing those people start to fail. And I just wanted to kind of catch you guys up and, people listening that maybe this is the first time listening to Ask Chad Grassy Logic show. I've been talking about this bubble for a while, and I'm talking about it because every state has gone through this. We're not alone with this bubble thing. This is happening in every state. And this is kind of where I base my analysis on, because a lot of the stuff that's happening in other states is happening here. And to be honest, in New Mexico, it's kind of happening more rapidly.
I was gonna ask if from what you've seen, and I think that it's happened pretty quickly because we're about a year into legalization.
Yeah, a year and a month.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's really fast. The flower prices have decreased drastically. And so it'll be interesting to see where we're at in a couple of years.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this is just something that's going to be ongoing and changing. Certain factors could change. This analysis or the future. Maybe something, because there's always, certain things I don't know, we don't know what's coming, those unknown factors. So, what is your thought, about the bubble and everything? Have you really been seeing it too? Because I've seen some places close already.
Yes, you're seeing it right now as we speak. When we walk into dispensaries, the owners tell us about how harder it's getting with the dispensary opening up next door and having their promotions. And so it does make it, a little bit more difficult for us to even consider moving forward with our retail. We're glad we have the license, but right now we're standing back and hoping that we can get through just with manufacturing.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing to the bubble, and this is something that I've been talking to all the locals here that I know, very few that I know, is that we hear it in all farmers markets, but support local, man. There's going to be big corporations that are coming in with tons of money, and so rules and regulations and all that's going to be nothing to them hiring attorneys and CPAs and all that. It's going to be like any other business for them, but for the small guys like us who are barely building this business, we're barely figuring all that out. So support local, man. Keep all the small businesses in operation. If anybody from your community or anybody is manufacturing a product or growing a certain kind of quality, of support them and promote them on your social medias. Share their stories and just stay active with one another. I think education is going to be very important. And I've already been to a couple of large farms, and by being to these large farms, I see that it's like a monocrop like anything else, but it's missing something that we had back in the day when this all started. It's missing the love and it's missing the passion. It's become corporate greed. So if your weed is corporate greed, it doesn't really taste like anything. I don't care how much cookie it has in its lineage.
Yeah.
It's still going to be commercial cookie.
Yeah. I mean, genetics only goes so far as the grower who grows it, and genetics play a huge role when you're growing, to start with. But if you don't have someone who knows how to grow it or grows it well, then yeah, you're not going to come up with a good product. And we are seeing a lot of this Walmart weed, coming out, on the market, alongside with, the black market weed, which doesn't support local because a lot of it comes from California,
Absolutely.
Oklahoma. It comes from out of state a lot of the times and doesn't come from local to start with. So when you're getting black market products into your establishment, you're not supporting local to start with. So if anybody's giving MSOs or multi-state operators hell or shit, and you're buying black market from out of state, you're just as bad. You're just not paying taxes on it. And so, you're supporting an out-of-state entity. And that's really what that means. So one thing I do want to mention and to keep in mind is that the retail establishments that are backed by the MSOs, they're most likely going to be fine because a lot of the numbers in the retail establishments statewide have dropped, especially in the city. Some of these huge MSO licenses, their numbers have dropped significantly, but they're still in the hundreds of thousands or, thousands of dollars, and they're still making a lot of money. Their numbers may have dropped, but they're backed by so much money that that's not going to matter at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And these big MSO corporations know this bubble's coming. They're not dumb. They have guys they pay to do what I'm doing right now, to do analysis and stuff on the markets. And they don't worry about this because they know this is coming, and all they're going to do is they're going to buy up all the little places that are going out of business, and they're just going to expand into those markets. And we're already seeing that. We saw Everest get bought up by Swazi, and Swazi is actually looking to buying more New Mexico brands, and that's already happening as we speak. So this isn't just an analysis. Some of what I'm saying is actually happening as we talk. And so that's one thing I wanted everybody to keep in mind, we'll be fine. No, the MSO ones are going to be fine. The ones that we really have to worry about are the mom and pop shops. Absolutely. Because those numbers are down too.
Yes.
And so if you want to help local, shop local. But one thing I do want to say, and I admitted this all the time, this is the market, and the market is going to choose what it wants. So choose wisely. This is like voting. So choose wisely what you want. Do you want quality? Do you want good cannabis, or do you want Walmart cannabis? Because at the end of the day, what you buy dictates what's going to stick around at the end of the day. So, just keep that in mind. That's your guys' choice. What do you guys have on that portion of it?
Well, I guess basically the bubble. It's a scary thing for everybody. So for us, it's about building the community and sticking around. Basically our products, when we go to retail these products at a wholesale rate, we're already at base minimum based on the crash happening so fast. But like you say, when the big corporations move in, they're going to have no problem in manufacturing products like ours for half or less of the price because of numbers. Yeah. When they're manufacturing 20,000 body products and we're manufacturing 100, our cost of goods is pretty high, and to them it's just a numbers game. Yeah. Same thing with the pounds. I've been to farms where they're already talking about $300 a pound for the season coming up. So what does that do to the small guy like us? Is we already have a base minimum that we could just barely stay on top or float, right? Yeah. But when they break us down to $300 a pound and they're talking about crazy numbers like that, I think that's part of how the state just allowed so many producers with large numbers, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 plants. But then they gave people like us 200. And when these new amendments came into place and they were talking about, helping the micro producers and increasing it either by up to, I'm not sure if it was
10% or 1,000.
Yeah, it's
1,000
10%, so it went to 2,000 plants.
Yeah.
And I believe that just got kind of laid out and it never really went through. And so that didn't really benefit us. But we did get a sticker that says support local micro businesses, guys. So make sure you look out for that sticker.
Yeah, and that's a state thing, right? The CCD or the RLD came out with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I think I covered that a couple weeks ago. And I think that's really cool because, New Mexico, we're all about, local and stuff like that. We even have New Mexico True on our Chile products here in the state. So, we're very proud of our local stuff, so, keep it local and keep it craft. If you do what you want with your money at the end of the day, I can't tell anybody what to do with their money, but, if you do want to see more craft and more local stuff, then you know what you have to do. So yeah, I mean, those are really good points that you guys bring up, and some really good conversations. Or anything that you have in particular on that, when it comes to like MSOs and, like them having more of, I guess a leeway pool in the market when we come into an area like this, it's, pretty much the great closure.
Yeah, many of them came from other states, and so they already know what the markets look like, how they crash, what the volatile points. And so when they come to New Mexico, they know what they're doing more or less, than the small guys just starting out.
Yeah.
But
and this could have been the reason why our timeline has sped up versus, Colorado, Oregon, and these other states, because it took them about 3 to 5 years to really get to a mature market and everything. And it seems like we're kind of rapidly evolving here in New Mexico. Our price per pound dropped significantly within a year. Our retails went up significantly within a year. I mean, we started with more retail establishments than Colorado did. And now we have significantly more than when they started out. I think they have more now, but they have significantly more people.
Right.
And we have that. But now, we're reaching this point where we're at a point where, it's not even, and there's nothing that's going to work for too long. So that bubble's going to burst. And it's scary. And one thing I want everybody to keep in mind about these numbers, when you look online, RLD has all these numbers. That's how I know, who's selling what, and, like how good they're doing. You can look by business, how they're doing. One thing about numbers is, in all of these numbers and calculations, is we don't take for account the unknown variables. And actually, in most calculations in science, you have that variable for the unknown. And there's stuff that we just don't know that we're not taking into account. So if you see these numbers dipping like this, that's not telling us everything. Numbers can only tell you so much. There's more that goes behind it. And if you don't have these unknown variables inside of your equation, you're going to come out with something wrong, or you're going to come out with something that's close, but it's not telling you the whole story. There could be something in the works. There could be investments, there's businesses, they try to keep secrets all the time, and they try to work, so their competitors don't know what they're doing. It's fine, whatever. A lot of businesses do that. But keep in mind, these numbers don't tell everything of what's going on. And it is scary because, like I said, you can see some of these businesses, their numbers are like this. But if you look at, where they're selling still, they're still selling like $30,000 a month, versus last year it was like $400,000, something stupid. They're still selling quite a bit a month. And yeah, their numbers may have dipped, but that amount just alone is still going to keep them afloat. And especially if they're an MSO, they're fine.
Yeah.
They're still making profit. They're not making as much profit as they were before, but they're still making profit. And we knew this dip was going to happen. And this dip is going to go like this and then eventually go like this. It may, have its periods where it goes up and down, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be more of a stabilized dip. And I think we're going to be there a lot quicker. But these unknown variables are going to kind of change our timeline a little bit. And I think that's the reason why our timeline has been so fast, because of these unknown variables and because these outside entities already knowing what to expect. And us in New Mexico being so ignorant to a new industry like this, which, I mean, by all means, it's new. We've never been here before. The fact that, we're ignorant to that fact, that they kind of took advantage of it, and, it sucks, but that's the game we play. I mean, how do you guys feel about, the numbers and everything? Have you guys looked at all of it?
Not too much.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, just seeing numbers dive down, I guess, would it alarm you, I guess?
It is alarming, and just talking about it, the time frame, that things have already gone so downward. It's kind of, it's interesting.
And scary.
And very scary.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're going to see, some people call it a bloodbath. I wouldn't call it that. We're just going to see, like I said, the great closure. We're going to see a lot of people going out of business. selling. We're going to see a ton of sales. We're going to see people selling their businesses. We're going to see them selling equipment for cheap. We've seen that in other states, when that happens. I mean, Oklahoma ran into that, I think about a year after they went just medical because of the way that they did it. You can actually, I think there's a website now you can go and you can find the equipment that people are selling in Oklahoma because there's so much. But that's a whole different animal. We're nothing near to what Oklahoma is. But, that's just something I wanted to, really touch on and kind of keep everybody aware of. And, this bubble has a lot to it. There's a lot of parts to this bubble. It's not just one reason. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. And this is just another one. And MSOs play a big part of it. And they're probably going to be here after that bubble bursts. For how long? I'm not sure. Because if that bubble bursts and that MSO still sees that retail establishment isn't doing good after the bubble bursts, then they'll probably pull that retail establishment. But a lot of them are holding on right now, and they know that these numbers are going to go down, and they'll probably be fine at the end of the day as long as they hold out because they have such funds. Unfortunately, the people here that are local, they probably won't. And that's sad to say, but that's the game that we played, and that's the game that we signed up for, unfortunately. So in other words, hang on to your butts. It's going to get weird.
Yeah. And we're not federally legal yet. So we're still yet to see, when Texas goes legal, when we're federally legal as well.
Yeah. And that's one thing I try to tell people is, maybe start thinking about getting federal ready, looking at the federal guidelines, kind of thinking about, okay, what's to come? What do these other industries have to follow federally? Because we're only under state stuff right now, except for taxes. You still got to pay federal taxes. It's so stupid. But we're only under state, rules and laws right now. And once federal comes, that's going to be a total different ballgame because now you're dealing with the FDA. You're dealing with, all kinds of other people. I mean, you even have to deal with the CDC if you want to do advertising. You have to deal with that. So, I mean, it goes because at that point, it unlocks a lot of things. But it also unlocks a bunch of other pain in the asses for you. So just keep that in mind.
It also enables more testing, though. So that would be a good thing, especially for our topicals. We would love more testing on our topicals, things like that.
And that's one thing that people need to be prepared for is, the federal requirements for testing. Like you're only going to have to go through state right now, but soon you're going to have to go through federal guidelines too. So you're going to have to make sure your stuff's super clean, and there's, even more stringent rules when it comes to federal guidelines. So yeah, that's a very good point that you bring up there, because a lot of people aren't even thinking about that portion. They're like, oh, testing sucks right now. It's like, yeah, wait until it gets better in the state and then wait till we go federal because then you're going to be really complaining. Okay. Your product's going to have to be way cleaner than it is right now. So that's something that, I'm glad you guys are, thinking about that ahead of time now, instead of, 5 years from now, I'm like, hey, we're going next year. It's going federal. And like, oh crap, we're not ready. But, you guys are ahead of it because, these are really good products. And I trust it and everything. So yeah, thank you. And that's really all I have about the bubble. Do you guys have anything else for the bubble you thought about? Or
that's pretty much. I mean, I just see it going like this sometimes, and it kind of like shrinks down a little bit, then it gets bigger again. So right now, I drive down the freeway and I think about how many people, how many farms, just from Las Cruces to Anthony are already here. And
there's a lot,
and all over Highway 28 and up and down 70. I mean, we're just in the Southwest, right here below the checkpoint. We're flooded, man. There's this product coming in for sure. There's a surplus. The one thing I do want to add to that is that I hope, because there's going to be such a surplus of product, predominantly flower, that innovation comes in and that science comes in and that we can use those products for something more than what we're used to, therefore creating a demand for that either undesirable, and I don't mean distillate or isolate, there's plenty of that out there, but predominantly like in body care and things of that nature, where people start understanding that there truly is benefits to these products besides just smoking it or eating it. So I don't know, hopefully more on the medical side, even though it's all moved towards recreational. People that don't want to go get their med card can now go into a recreational shop and find a product that might help or that they might think might help or whatever. I mean, it just opens up the doors for people that wouldn't have felt comfortable walking into these stores. So those are new variables or new consumers that we have to take into consideration.
There you go. That's something that, isn't plugged into any of these equations. So, that's something that you brought up just there that, we could put into, an unknown variable, but there's even more that we don't know. So when you have an equation, make sure that you have the unknown variables when it comes along with it. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for that. These are really all good points. Do you have anything before we move on?
No.
Okay. No, thank you. So our last of the show, I just wanted to give some bonus information. There's an event going on this weekend, the 5th Annual Growers Cup. I know you guys mentioned you won 3 out of 5 of them. Are you guys entered in this year?
No, we didn't. We're
No?
super swamped with manufacturing and production. Although we've had a great time in the past.
Well, you guys got three trophies. You got the bragging rights for that. So, I guess let someone else have the little light for a little bit. Huh? I'm sure you guys will be back at it sometime. So this weekend, if you guys aren't aware of what the Growers Cup is, it's just a annual celebration in La Luz, which is near Alamogordo. It's over in an orchard, real pretty, towards the side of the mountain. And it's just really a bunch of growers locally get together and put their stuff in a competition. To get sent to judges. They blind test everything and they put the results in. And I guess Matt already has his results of who won. So that's going on this weekend, May 13th, 2023, because at the time of recording, that's what the date's going to be. But, you could be watching this from a year from now. So hopefully then we're on the 6th annual, 6th annual Growers Cup. So these are really cool events that are going on. I try to let everybody know what's going on and everything. There's another one that's going to be going on next week, but that one's in Albuquerque, and it's going to be the Cannabis Canacon. That one I don't know too much about. I actually just heard about it in past recent weeks. And if we have it up here on the screen and everything. So this is the website. If you guys want to go and check it out, that's cool. If you're in the area up there, if you're going to be, or if you maybe want to go network, this is a great opportunity to network, because here in New Mexico, that's one thing that people forget to do is networking. And I think that any event where New Mexicans and local producers can get together and network and meet each other, I think it's a great event. That's one thing that, and we were talking about this before the show, one thing that the High Times Cannabis Cup here in New Mexico is lacking is that networking aspect. Because back in the day, that's how a lot of these growers and a lot of these cultivars or strains got known was, the networking aspect. It wasn't just the fact that you were at the High Times and you won the cup. No, it was the networking. You went there and you met these different growers and you met these people who had lights or different nutrients or whatever, or different cultivars and seeds and clip clones and, all kinds of stuff. It's an innovation thing. And so when you go online solely like they're doing with the High Times Cup, Cannabis Cup, you're hindering that. And I think that's one thing that's missing from it now. And I think that's one thing that things like this still has. It still gives you benefit, because sometimes there could be an ancillary business that helps you out, like a lighting company. They're really helpful when it comes to growing. Nutrient companies. Maybe a company that provides cheaper base oils that you guys use or something like that there for topicals. The list goes on. And so these businesses sometimes set up at these conventions and you don't even know they exist. I mean, there's times where I've been to the conventions and I'm like, that's actually really cool. It's just really good for innovation, and it's really great for networking. I've met so many people in the industry nationwide, just going through cannabis conventions here in the state. I mean, how do you guys feel about, conventions and everything?
Exactly what you just said. I mean, before the legalization, a lot of our network was from attending cups or events that we had to go chase them to other states, but we would go and look for genetics or different breeders or different equipment. But the conventions here locally are what I've enjoyed the most. They've actually helped our business grow, and they've brought us in time after time. And that anybody associated with the cannabis conventions and the Southwest Trade Association and all them, those people have helped us out drastically, man. So it's a big reason that we've gotten callbacks. We don't know how to approach a lot of the new consumers. So these places have brought together other people looking to do business. And like, for example, one of our last customers was like, oh yeah, we went to the convention hoping we would find a little hippie that made body products, and came around the corner and there your wife was. So it was, just those things like that. And that's how we build stories for the community and for time to come, whether we are able to stick around for the long haul or not. These events are big, especially the ones that are coming to Las Cruces, because not everybody can leave their farm, or not everybody can leave their everyday 9 to 5. And it helps us get out for the day, and showcase our products, talk to people. Like you said, networking, man, that's the biggest thing. And a lot of us from back in the day didn't really network. We didn't have social media or any of that, so it's great, man. Podcasts like these, that are actually going to broadcast and show us to the world. So thank you. We appreciate you bringing us on. That's huge, man.
Oh, no, thank you guys. And I really appreciate you being on. And, that was the last event I had. So, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
That's pretty much it, man.
Yeah. No?
Give us a follow. If you're interested, reach out on Instagram or Facebook. If you're interested in products, we can help guide you to a dispensary closest to you. We are not yet north of the checkpoint yet, but hopefully soon we'll be.
Cool. Yeah, and that's funny. That's a term because we have to deal with so many checkpoints in the area. But yeah, just north of us. If you guys are past the checkpoint, lucky you. So anyway, guys, that's this week's episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. I'll be back next week with another episode. And don't forget that Coco Dean and I from 4C's Cannabis, we're doing random reviews and stuff like that. So keep a looking out for those. All right, guys. Well, let's get us out of here. Want to get us out of here? Yeah.
Absolutely, Chad. Thanks again, man.
Yeah.